Hi everyone, I'm Avis Wrentmore and I'm the Inspo Create YouTube channel host. And through our Inspo Create YouTube channel, we'll be bringing you empowering and inspiring stories, helping you become the best version of you. We'll also be speaking with women from around the world, from all different backgrounds, races, and ages, who will be sharing their story with us, whether it be their journey towards starting a new business, creating that dream job, or overcoming a difficult challenge in their life. We'll also be speaking with experts who will be bringing you tips, guidance, and knowledge, and leading you in the direction of your goals and your dreams. It is our mission at Inspo Create to inspire women and young girls to become the best version of themselves. And a big part of that is having empowering women share their story with us. And speaking of empowering, our first guest today is an incredible woman who overcame a life-threatening accident and turned her tragedy into triumph. She is the author of True Grit and Grace, Turning Tragedy into Triumph. Please welcome Amberly Lago.
Oh, thank you. Thank
This
you
is a long-awaited
me.
meeting.
Yes.
I've been following her journey, and I am so happy to have you here. And on behalf of Inspo Create,
Oh, I'm so happy to be
we
here.
just had to hear your story and share it with our
Thank
viewers.
you. Thank you so much. I was so excited to finally meet you in person and so happy to be here to share. And, you know, my goal is to share some things that hopefully will really benefit whoever's listening today.
I think they will. And I know a lot of people have already heard your story. I first discovered Amberly on the Megyn Kelly show. I was watching it one morning and she just captivated me, and I had to write her a letter, and we've been emailing back and forth, staying in touch. So here we are today.
Yeah,
So-
and you never know, just a little letter, a little note can really shift somebody's day for the better. Just that little act of kindness really touched my heart. So
and when you said that
thank
to me,
you.
that touched my heart, because sometimes we think, oh, this person is probably really busy, maybe they'll never even read my email, and you got back to me right away, and we definitely connected, and we've stayed in touch, and then this opportunity came to us, and here we are. So this is great. So if we can get started and share with our viewers, because I know a lot of people already know your story, but there's so many other people that still need to hear your story. And if we could go back to where you were in your life right before the accident, and then if you can lead us up to the day of the accident, I think we can bring everybody up to speed.
Yeah, I think sometimes I don't realize how much that if I'm having a bad day,
Yeah.
and I think about, well, wait a minute, there was a time when I couldn't even get out of bed. And so it shifts my perspective, and that's one of the lessons I've learned from my accident was, things were great. I was living the California dream, doing my career, which was a dream. I was passionate about fitness, and I was able to have a full, I had clients, I had trainers that worked for me, I did fitness videos, and I ran everywhere. Instead of, if I met somebody for lunch, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna run there. And so I've got 2 healthy daughters and married to the man of my dreams. After kissing a lot of toads, I finally met him. And in the blink of an eye, everything changed. I was on my way home and on my Harley, and I had an SUV that shot out of a driveway and hit me, and I immediately felt pain. And I was sliding down Ventura Boulevard, and the first thing I thought is, oh, please don't let another car hit me, because I couldn't tell what I was sliding into.
Right.
And when we stopped, I looked down at my leg, and it was just broken into pieces. And it was like one of those horror movies where there's blood squirting out, and I didn't realize it at the time. Thank God I didn't realize it, but my femoral artery was severed, and so I was literally bleeding out in the street. And I was screaming, and luckily an ambulance got there quick, and I remember riding in the ambulance and looking at the paramedic, and I was squeezing his leg, and I was wanting some sort of connection, some kind of eye contact, and he wouldn't look at me.
Right.
And I thought, well, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm gonna die.
That's so scary.
And he can't even look at me. And so when we got to the hospital, it was so chaotic. My husband's a cop, and the brotherhood of the police force is like, news travels fast. And so the whole ER was filled with cops and this wailing of a man. I didn't know where it was coming from. Now, I had never seen my husband cry, and it was him crying. Now, I was strapped to the gurney, my head strapped down, And I saw him freaking out, and I thought, oh my gosh, what if I never wake up? What's going to happen? And so I screamed across the emergency room, Johnny, I need you to get over here and be strong for me. And he came over and held my hand, and then a nurse leaned over me and she said, we're going to give you something to make you feel all better now. And that was the last thing I remember before I woke up. And they told me I was in a coma. There was an induced coma, and I woke up and they said, we're going to amputate your leg. Which that was devastating for me, because my livelihood,
Right.
actually my drug of choice was running. You know, that was, you hear of that runner's high, that's what I did. So I felt
everything
like
was fitness and all your activities
and you know, I had a 2-year-old at the time, and they said, well, you have a 1% chance. And when they said I had a 1% chance, I thought, well, there's a chance we're going to save it.
There's that 1%, and
Yeah,
I'm going to be that 1%.
And it's all how we look at things in life. You know, I
Yep.
think sometimes, you know, if we say there's a small chance, then people give up. I thought there's still a chance. We get to choose how we look at things. And
Right.
so that took a doctor that was amazing. We got transferred to another hospital. It took 34 surgeries, and it took about 3.5 months in the hospital the first time, and just thousands of hours of excruciating physical therapy. And that was really the easy part. And I know it sounds crazy to say that was the easy part,
Right.
but what I was, you know, I thought, well, healing's pretty linear. We just go through something. You know, I was an athlete. I was used to getting injured, and you work hard and you recover and you're right back. And I thought that I would take a little while, but I'd be right back. And they told me that, you know, you're probably not going to ever run again, and it's going to take years for you to walk again. And I was so proud, because I was finally upright on my crutches, and it was about 4.5 months. But that is when I got the news of the diagnosis of CRPS, which is
Right.
complex regional pain syndrome, and had a doctor say, you need to get back in your wheelchair. He was like, are you the kind of person that likes to push through pain? And I was like, well, can't you tell? Like, of course I am. I'm from Texas. And he said, well, you need to stop. You need to stop right now. Your life's never going to be the same. You're going to be permanently disabled, and you need to go get back in your wheelchair, put your leg up. And I said, okay, well, for how long? And he said, forever.
Wow.
And I felt like I was kicked in the gut. But I didn't go back home and get in my wheelchair. Instead, I went straight to physical therapy. And Terry, my therapist, was like, Amberly, what are you doing here? You don't even have an appointment. And I said, well, I know I don't, but I just learned something, and I'm going to have to work harder than I've ever worked before if I want to have the life that I've always imagined. And I didn't know how hard that was going to be. It's been hard, because
I'm sure.
complex regional pain syndrome is a disease of the sympathetic nervous system, so it leaves you in constant chronic pain. It's dubbed the suicide disease, and there's no known cure. It's ranked highest on the pain scale. And so that was truly the beginning of my healing journey.
Dealing with that. And with it's called chronic, what's the name of it again?
Complex regional pain syndrome.
And is this something that you have different levels of pain? Do you have good days where it's not as bad? Or are there things that you can do, therapies or supplements, or anything you do to deal with it? Maybe it's even something in your diet that helps you with it. And I'm sure there's other things that trigger inflammation and things like that. So is there anything that you can share that does help?
There is so much that I do.
I figured if anyone could find it, you would be able to find it.
You know, it took me down a dark path, because I think we all experience some kind of trauma or pain in our life, whether it's, you know, we got sick, or we had a breakup or a divorce, or we experience a death. We have some sort of pain. So whether it's an emotional pain or a physical pain, that tends, a lot of times, people tend to isolate. For me, I did. I didn't want anybody to see my pain. I didn't want to admit that I was in pain. And so I was in denial for a long time. And one of the things I learned was it really the first step into healing and to feeling better is to accept where you are on your journey, and so you can take action steps to feel better. See, I was in denial. I didn't want to take any medicine. I didn't want anybody to know I was in pain.
Right.
And then I got worse and worse and worse. And it wasn't until I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I have to face. Now what can I do about it? And I tried every kind of treatment. I mean, I spent thousands on medical procedures, surgeries, spinal blocks, ketamine infusions. Now, I had never done a drug in my life, and all of a sudden I was going to the hospital and they were infusing me with ketamine. I was on 73 homeopathic pills a day along with 11 prescription medications.
Oh my goodness.
The thing was, nothing was working. And I had everybody coming to me saying, I've got a cure, this will work.
Right.
And
We always
I
hear
was
that when
like,
we have something that...
yeah, and I had, basically, I was like, okay, I'll try that, okay, I'll try that. And we had a lien on our house. I was out of work, and I got to the place where I had lost my career, my hope, and any confidence that I had, just because of I was so limited in what I could do because of my pain. And also I hated the way I looked with all the scars. And so it wasn't until I accepted where I was and I shifted my mindset was really, I think, what started to help with me, with my pain. Because look, the pain is there. The pain is there.
Yeah.
And maybe it's here to stay, but it's all how I look at it and how I view it. It's a daily ritual that I do every day. It's starting from the minute my feet hit the floor. I am very conscious of what I do throughout the day. Like, for instance, today I woke up and the minute I step foot on the floor, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
I start with gratitude and I think about, you know what, I can walk. Because there was a long time I couldn't even stand up. And so I'm just grateful that I can walk.
Right.
And then I think, I can make my own coffee. There was a long time I had to wait on somebody to make me coffee. And so I think it's the little things that we do. If we put our focus on what we do have and gratitude,
Right.
it really shifts. And we focus on the good in our life. And when we focus on the good just keeps coming into our life.
It does. I totally agree with that. Well, what compelled you to share your story with the rest of the world? Because I know that took a lot of courage, and you were talking about earlier, it was hard to admit things that you were in denial, because I think a lot of times people think if they stay in that state of denial, then they don't have to face it and deal with it. But what compelled you to share your story with the rest of the world?
Yeah, and I thought that too. I thought, well, I'm just not going to deal with this. Let me, before what I would do, I didn't realize until this accident that I was running away from my demons my whole life. I was running from shame, from sexual abuse as a child. I was running from an abusive relationship and a divorce. I was running physically and in every way to escape that shame and that pain. And then when I couldn't run anymore, I was forced to deal with these emotions. And one of the things that truly helped was once I accepted where I was so humbled, and it took every ounce of courage in me to reach out to someone. And the moment we share our pain or our story with someone who gets it,
Right.
it's like magic. It is when you can share, whether you're going through a divorce or whether you got fired from your job, if you can connect with someone and they're like, oh, that happened to me too.
Yes.
But I did this, and this, and I got over it. It's like you have hope.
Right.
And so
you have that support, people
and
supporting
you have support.
which
And I
feels
think
good.
community is powerful. I don't think we're really meant to do it alone. I feel like, and that wasn't always the way. I mean, I grew up where it was like, don't show vulnerability because that means weakness. Like, you cowgirl up and you suck it up. I had like a PhD in suck it up. And this accident really allowed me to see that no, suck it up works until it doesn't.
Yes.
And then it's all, you can't suck up the pain anymore and you're forced to deal with it. And I found what was so healing was reaching out to others and having a community. And I realized there are so many other people out there that are going through the same thing.
Right.
The people are going through the same thing. And when I see somebody that has been through something that I'm challenged with and they made it through. I have hope. And so my passion is to share my story and so others know that they can heal, to share my experience so that they know, not just get inspired, but I hope, but to also give them some tangible tools. And I had to look at what were the things that I was doing every day to be resilient, because it wasn't like I got through this accident and now everything's okay. It's every day I have to decide that I want to be resilient. And the good news is we all have resilience within us, and we have the ability to choose and to tap into that resilience, but we have to strengthen it every day, just like a muscle. Just like going to the gym and getting your muscles strong, we have to choose and be willing to do that every day.
Right, and I think also by you helping others and then hearing other people's story, you're helping each other.
Yeah.
And they're giving you hope, and you're thinking, wow, she's already come this far with this.
Yeah.
That means that I can too, and maybe I could surpass that. So we're all giving each other hope and supporting each other. So it's so important, and I think a lot of times people are just afraid to ask for help. Like you said, you feel like that's a sign of weakness, and it really isn't. I think it takes a lot to be vulnerable.
And it moves you to your strengths.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my next question is, how did you take your hardship and turn it into this thriving career? You're doing your podcast, you've written your book, you're doing television appearances, workshops. You have so much going on now, and this is amazing.
I'm just
How did that
laughing.
transition?
I'm laughing because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm serious. Like, okay, so I decided to write this book.
Right.
And my husband was like, yeah, right. I mean, I have a high school education, never written a book. I've lived my entire life on the dance floor or the gym floor.
Right.
And now I'm going to write a book. I had no idea what to do. So I took a class. I went to Jack Grapes, and I was like,
that's amazing.
he had us read an assignment, and it was the first assignment that I read, and I read it in front of him, and I sat down, and he was like, why did you take my class? And I was like, oh my God, I started crying. I was like, because I was in a class I couldn't make the beginner class, so he let me in on the advanced class. And I was in a class with all the published writers and poets and screenplay writers, and then there was me. And he said, why did you take my class? I said, well, I want to write a book. And he said, let me tell you something. You will write a book.
Oh,
he
that's
said,
amazing.
You may have been intimidated by everybody else when you came in here, but after hearing what you reading what you wrote,
right,
they're intimidated by you.
Absolutely.
And not that I wanted people to be intimidated by me, it was just like jumping out of my comfort zone is what I've been doing since my accident. Like, I healed, and then I've been jumping out of my comfort zone. I bought a laptop, I wrote my book, most of it by hand, and then had to type it.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
And
that's
the publisher was like, and then to get a publisher, my husband was like, you got a publisher?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
That's a whole other process.
Yeah, that's a whole story in itself.
Yeah, and so they said, we don't market you. If you want to sell this book, then you have to market yourself. Now, I did not write the book to sell it, make a ton of money. I wrote the book with the intention of, if I can touch one person's life and give them the hope to continue forward, then it's worth it. I had no idea that I would be getting a call from NBC and that I would be flying to New York. My book became a bestseller, and I'm only telling you that because I was shocked. It was like the power of media, because it was on TV, it was a bestseller.
Right,
it was like Dr. Wayne Dyer, Brene Brown, and I was number 3. And for a
to be up there with Dr. Wayne Dyer, that's huge.
He's one, I love him.
He's one of my favorites.
And I love Brene Brown. And so
I do too. I love her.
I do too.
Yeah. She's amazing.
She's a Texas gal, and she's amazing. And it just, after that, I was asked to speak at different groups, whether it was a conference or I did a TEDx talk. And when they asked me to do the TEDx, there's like, I thought I'd be really excited. And I got the call and I was scared to death.
I think that would be
oh my
scarier than
gosh.
any television interview, anything. That to me would be the scariest.
Well, you have 14 minutes to share the most important part of your life or
Exactly.
lesson of your life. And
Yeah.
they said, don't talk about the accident too much and don't talk about God. And I was like,
Uh-oh.
and there's going to be 2,000 people. You've got 14 minutes, go. And I'm like, but that really, I think everything we go through, we grow from.
Absolutely.
And that forced me to take a look at what I do every day to tap into my resilience. And that's how I came up with the acronym PACER.
Exactly.
Which stands for Perspective, Acceptance, Community, Endurance, and Rest. And that's the message that I shared. And from that, I've done other talks. I've been at schools. I've been at hospital clinics. And it makes my heart so full to get to go and talk with others, especially when I was talking at a conference for CRPS and got to be around so many other CRPS warriors. I cried in the middle of the talk. I was like, I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah,
But
your
there's-
emotions just come
yeah.
out because you're sharing your truth and you're reliving things that you're experiencing
and being
they're
around
feeding
all
off
these
that.
people that
Yeah,
get it, you know,
yeah.
like it's kind of like when you go throughout your day and people ask, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And then you see somebody who you're like, I know they really get me. I know she's my
Yes,
friend.
yes,
That's why when I saw you, I was like, it means so much to me, your emails, because I read every emails and I got all teary-eyed just talking to you.
Well, when you emailed me and said, I know where I was when I received your first email, I was sitting in Topanga Mall or something like that in your car and you were reading, and I thought, wow, she remembers me and that, and wow, because we don't know, the impact that we also make on others in return just, by communicating with them.
Yeah.
So that really touched my heart too, so you have no idea. But let's get to the next question. What is let's see.
I didn't
know.
tell you about the podcast though. The reason I was laughing is because of the podcast.
Oh yeah, tell us about the podcast,
Okay.
because this is something new that you're just
Oh my gosh,
starting,
yes.
right?
So the marketing, I had to figure out how to be, like as an entrepreneur, you have to figure out, you wear a lot of different hats. I mean, and I wear most of the hats.
Right.
And when I had my career and my job, it was safe. It was like I knew my clients, even though I was pretty much had my own business, I knew what my schedule looked like every day. And
Yes.
this world has opened up to, I'm in different areas all over the country with a book signing. And then, I decided to start this podcast when I don't know how to edit or all that, but I was like, I really want to start this because I want to share other people's struggles to success. Like,
Yes.
how'd you get there? Because sometimes it looks so easy on social media, like, oh, they're successful. They've got a number one bestseller, and you don't see behind the scenes
the hard work
like,
and all the years that went
the
behind it.
sweat and tears that went into making that. And so my main goal was to start this podcast, and it's been a challenge, but I laughed because I was just like, yeah, I'm going for it. And
Good for
I'm
you.
saying to anybody out there, you don't have to know it perfectly. You don't have to get it perfectly. Just start.
Just
and
start
just do it.
Exactly.
Like,
and everything will fall into place. And the great thing is you ask other people questions. You pick their brain as you're going along and you're going, wow, now I can fine tune this. Because in the beginning, like you said, when you're juggling all these different things you're doing, you're thinking, God, I just want to get to the point, the mission that I have right here, and I want to be able to get in front of these people and talk about this TED Talk, but yet I've got to do A, B, C, and D to get over here. And so we're juggling all these things at once to try
on top of being a mom and a wife and a friend and dealing with a pain every day. And so it's really about, I really use Pacer every single day, and if I don't, I get called out on it. Like my husband would be like, you're getting the R.
Exactly. I heard
R.
you talk about that the other day. I saw you on the Hallmark Channel, and you said the one that really needs to be addressed is the last one, our rest. And I think we all need that because the days just go so fast. We try to get so much done in a day, and by the end of the day, you're thinking, oh, I didn't check those last 3 things off my list. Okay, I'll do them tomorrow. And we're just we're going to bed with that in our head, and we don't take time to just kind of decompress and really just rest and relax. And we have to kind of promise ourselves, okay, I'm going to rest here. Yesterday, I actually took like a 30-minute nap and it felt so good. But then I had insomnia last night. So I was thinking, was it that nap? And I drank decaffeinated coffee and I thought, well, I drank decaffeinated. I don't know if I believe that there really is a thing called decaffeinated. But anyway, let me see what else I have for you because we want to make sure we cover everything. Oh yes, this is a really good question. What is your biggest dream for you personally and also professionally?
Okay. Well, I say dream big. Like in
Absolutely.
Texas, we're like go big or go home. That,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
I like being home though, so I don't know if that works for me anymore. And you know, I think that if we really put our thoughts and intentions on that and we keep doing the work, that we can reach any dream that we set out to do. Because look, from the very beginning when I first moved out to LA, I was not the best dancer. In fact, I was probably the worst dancer. They let me on scholarship and I just worked harder than every single dancer on that scholarship program. And I got an agent and I was booking jobs over and over. And it's because
That's amazing.
I went in with a good attitude. I worked hard.
Yep.
I showed up and I gave it my best. And so when I went through a coaching program to get certified as a life coach, we had to practice on each other and we had to write out like this script. And one of the questions was, it was really putting out intentions and really manifesting and writing these whole affirmations. And one of my affirmations was, I'm going to write a book and Oprah's going to read it and go, aha, that was an aha moment.
Yes.
And everybody in the class laughed at me. And I was like, really? No, I will write a book. So
yes.
Anytime anyone laughs at you or says you can't do it, I use that as motivation.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what? I'm going to prove it to myself that I can do it.
Exactly.
And so I wrote a book.
Well, it's great being challenged like that because I've been told that before with other things, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong. But at the same time, you're doing it for yourself.
Right.
Absolutely. And then, you know, in the end, you think, this is really cool because you're acknowledging it. Because a lot of times we forget to acknowledge it and sit there and go, wait a minute. I remember back when I said I would do this, and now I'm doing it. And look, you are living. You are living proof. You really are.
Thank you. I've got big dreams, and I do want to meet Oprah, and I want to be on Super Soul.
I believe you will.
And
I thought of you for that. That was what I thought of you. I thought she's got to be on a Super Soul Sunday.
Well, I got tickets to see Oprah in February, and I'm like, I'm going to run on the stage. I won't do that really, but and then you know, I'm working on my podcast, and I'm really blessed that I've had so many incredible guests that have given their time and energy to be on the show, and it's not even launched, you know, and they don't have numbers. I can't say how many downloads I have or how many people see it, but all these incredible people that have been guests, and I can't wait to share that.
Oh, that's great. It'll be exciting to see all that.
Yeah, and then I would love to do my own show someday, and because my favorite part of my journey is connecting with other people. That's my favorite part.
Yes.
Getting to meet you. I love getting to meet people. So that's my favorite part of speaking at events, is not being on the stage. I mean, I like that, but it's afterwards getting to talk to people.
Right.
And so, hey, dream big, do my own show.
Absolutely. I heard someone the other day in an interview, and she said, it was actually an interview with Oprah, and it was an actress, and she said, what I think is wrong is that people aren't dreaming big enough. She goes, go big, way big. And I keep thinking about that, and even I'm affirming that. Dream bigger, go higher, and you really, really can. Well, at Inspo Create, we all love a good quote, and I'm sure you have some great quotes. What would be your favorite quote?
Oh man, I've got so many. I think one of the things that helps me to remember is that we have a choice. We get to choose if we're going to thrive. We get to choose whether or not we're going to be joyful in life, or choose whether or not we are going to have the life that we've always imagined. So whenever I'm feeling like I'm struggling or I'm stuck, I always think of that quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so I
Yes.
shift my thinking and I'm like, I can do this. And sometimes we may not believe it at first, but if we just keep showing up and keep affirming and putting one foot in front of the other, anything's possible.
I believe that. I really do. Well, from the bottom of my heart, because you know I've been
thank
wanting to meet you for
you.
so long, I'm so happy to have you here for
Thank
my first
you.
interview with Inspo Create. And I just want to say to everybody on behalf of Inspo Create, thank you for watching. Keep tuning in for empowering
Thank
women
you.
like Amberly Lago, and check her book out, True Grit and Grace: Turning Tragedy into Triumph. And how can they keep in touch with you?
Reach out to me. Like I said, I check every email. I check every DM on Instagram. So I'm on Instagram at Amberly Lago Motivation.
Okay.
And I have all the links for like a free gratitude journal. You can join my motivational membership. You can grab my ebook there. You can also go to my website, amberlylago.com, and shoot me an email and sign up for my newsletter so I get to stay in touch with you.
Yeah, and I get her newsletter and it's wonderful. So I encourage you all to
Thank
check out her
you.
website and go from there. And until next time, we'll see you soon.